You wake up, and before you even brush your teeth, you check your bank account. The number staring back at you is smaller than you hoped. Bills are waiting. The credit card balance is higher than you want to admit. And that pit in your stomach, it's the same one you felt last month and the month before that. You tell yourself you'll do better this time. Maybe work some extra hours, maybe save a little more. But deep down, you already know how the cycle goes. You make money, you spend money, and somehow it never feels like enough. You scroll through social media and see people your age buying houses, starting businesses, driving cars you only dream about. A voice inside your head whispers, "Why not me? Why can't I get ahead? Maybe I'm just not good with money." And here's the hardest truth. This pattern isn't just about numbers on a screen. It's not about your paycheck, or your job, or even the economy. It's about something deeper, something hidden. Your money blueprint. This blueprint is the script running your financial life. It's the invisible program built in childhood, shaped by the things you heard growing up. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. We can't afford that. Without even realizing it, those words became your financial thermostat, setting the limit on how much you allow yourself to earn, to save, to grow. And unless you change that script, you'll keep replaying the same story. The names and faces in your life may change, but the ending will always be the same. Struggle, stress, and frustration around money. But what if you could rewrite it? Imagine yourself as a kid again, sitting in the living room while the adults talk about money. You may not have understood every detail back then, but you felt the tension. Maybe it was your parents arguing about bills, your father complaining about taxes, or your mother sighing, "We just can't afford that." Maybe it was more subtle, a quiet voice saying, "Money doesn't grow on trees," or "People like us will never be rich." You didn't question those words, you absorbed them, the way a sponge absorbs water. And little by little, they became the foundation of your beliefs about money. This is what Harv Eker calls your money blueprint. Think of it as the invisible script that runs in the background of your life. It is not written on paper, but it is etched into your subconscious. It decides how much money feels normal for you, how much wealth you think you deserve, and how much you allow yourself to keep. Just like a thermostat controls the temperature in your house, your blueprint controls the level of wealth in your life. Here is the problem. If your financial thermostat is set too low, it does not matter how much money you earn. You will always find a way to return to that same level of struggle. If you suddenly make more money, maybe you get a raise or land a side gig, somehow the extra income disappears. An unexpected bill shows up, your car breaks down, you buy something you don't really need. And you end up back at the same point you started. On the outside, it looks like bad luck. On the inside, it is your blueprint pulling you back to normal. Think about your own life right now in 2025. Have you noticed the pattern? Maybe you make a promise to save money, but a few weeks later your savings are gone. Maybe you try to budget, but unexpected expenses always eat it up. Or maybe you tell yourself, as soon as I make more money, things will change. But even when more money comes in, the story stays the same. Stress, worry, that sinking feeling in your stomach when you open your bank app. Now add the pressure of today's world. Every time you scroll through social media, you see people flashing new cars, vacations in exotic places, or businesses that seem to print money. And while part of you feels jealous, another part of you whispers, "That's not for me. People like me don't get rich." That whisper is your blueprint talking. And as long as you listen to it, you'll keep living the same financial story on repeat. Here's another truth. Sometimes your blueprint is not even your own. It belongs to your parents, your grandparents, maybe even generations before you. If your family struggled financially, chances are those beliefs were passed down to you without anyone realizing it. Maybe you grew up in a household where money meant stress, so now you unconsciously avoid looking at your finances because it feels uncomfortable. Or maybe you were told rich people are selfish, so deep down you sabotage your chances at wealth because you don't want to become someone you were taught to dislike. This is why so many hardworking people stay stuck. It is not a lack of effort, intelligence, or opportunity. It is the silent program running in the background, making decisions before you are even aware of them. You might think you are choosing to spend, to avoid investing, or to procrastinate on building something new. But in reality, your blueprint has already decided for you. The good news is this: awareness is the first step. Once you realize there is a script, you can begin to rewrite it. You can start asking yourself, what beliefs about money did I inherit that no longer serve me? What messages from childhood are still shaping my financial decisions today? The answers might surprise you, but the moment you see them, you regain power. Because a blueprint is not permanent. Just like a thermostat can be reset, your financial story can be rewritten. And that realization that your struggles are not your destiny, but the result of an old program, is the doorway to change. So now that you understand how your money blueprint was formed, the real question is, how do you change it? How do you take an invisible program that has been running your life for decades and rewrite it so that it finally serves you instead of sabotaging you? The first step is to recognize that rich and poor people do not simply live in different financial situations. They live with completely different belief systems. Harv Eker calls these wealth files mental codes that separate financial success from financial struggle. And here is the key. You can install new codes into your life the same way you update the software on your phone. Take one of the most powerful wealth files. Rich people believe I create my life. Poor people believe life happens to me. This single belief can transform everything. Think about your own story. How often have you said to yourself, the economy is bad, that's why I'm broke? Or my boss doesn't pay me enough so I can't get ahead, or I was never taught about money so it's not my fault. While those statements may have some truth, they carry a dangerous message. I am not in control. And when you believe you are not in control, you give away all your power to change. Rich people, on the other hand, see themselves as the creators of their circumstances. They still face obstacles, bad economies, unfair bosses, setbacks, but instead of surrendering, they ask, what can I do about it? What can I learn? How can I turn this into an opportunity? That shift in mindset from victim to creator is like turning on a light in a dark room. Suddenly, doors appear where before you only saw walls. Now let us apply this to 2025. Imagine two people working the same job at the same restaurant, earning the same paycheck. The first one says, this is all I get. I'll never get ahead. Maybe if the government changes, or if my boss gives me a raise, things will improve. They live in constant frustration, waiting for external conditions to rescue them. The second person, however, says, this paycheck is my base, but it doesn't define me. I can learn a new skill, start a side hustle, invest wisely, or network to create new opportunities. Within a year, these two people, who started in the exact same place, are in completely different realities. Not because the world changed, but because their blueprints did. Here's another wealth file. Rich people play the money game to win. Poor people play not to lose. In practice, that means most people live in fear. They are so afraid of losing money that they never take risks, never invest, never try. They cling to what little they have, and because of that, they never grow. Rich people, on the other hand, take calculated risks. They understand that money is a tool, not a prison guard. They use it to create, to build, to expand. Think about it. In 2025, opportunities to create wealth are everywhere. From online businesses to investing apps, from freelancing platforms to artificial intelligence tools, the playing field has never been more open. But most people won't take advantage of it. Why? Because their blueprint tells them it's too risky, too complicated, not for them. And so they stay stuck playing not to lose, while others who dare to play to win change their lives. Reprogramming your blueprint starts with challenging those old voices in your head. When you catch yourself thinking, I can't afford this, change the thought to, how can I afford this? That one word, how, shifts you from victim to creator. When you notice yourself thinking rich people are greedy, reframe it to, wealth gives me the ability to help more people. Every time you flip a limiting belief into an empowering one, you are rewriting your code. Another powerful practice is surrounding yourself with new financial models. If you grew up hearing negativity about money, it's time to expose yourself to different conversations. Read books, listen to podcasts, follow people who inspire you instead of those who drain you. Your environment feeds your blueprint. If you keep listening to people who believe money is evil, guess what? You will keep proving them right in your own life. But if you start learning from those who use money responsibly and generously, Your mind begins to adopt their patterns. Of course, none of this matters without action. Awareness without action is just theory. To reset your blueprint, you must prove to yourself, through behavior, that you are no longer living by the old script. That could mean creating a savings habit, no matter how small. It could mean finally opening an investment account instead of waiting for the perfect moment. It could mean starting that side project you have been putting off for years. Every step you take outside your old comfort zone is evidence to your subconscious that the program has changed. And here is the most important thing to remember. Reprogramming your blueprint is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming the fullest version of yourself, the version not held back by fear, doubt, or inherited beliefs. It's about stepping into the mindset of abundance instead of scarcity, creation instead of reaction, growth instead of survival. Because in the end, wealth is not only about money, it is about freedom. The freedom to choose, to give, to create. And that freedom starts not in your bank account, but in your mind. So here we are, standing at the end of this journey. And maybe you've realized something important. Your struggles with money have never been just about money. They've been about the story you've been carrying all along, the invisible script written when you were too young to know better. That blueprint has been guiding your choices, shaping your habits, and silently deciding how far you would go. But here's the truth. Just because you were born into one financial story does not mean you have to keep living in it. The future of your money is not set in stone. It is written every day by the beliefs you choose and the actions you take. Think about 2025. The world is full of noise, pressure, and comparison. Every day you see influencers showing off lifestyles that make you feel behind. Every week you hear news that makes you anxious about the economy. And every month you feel the weight of bills, debt, or responsibilities. It's easy to believe you are stuck, powerless, trapped in a cycle that will never change. But pause for a second. What if all of that was just the old program speaking? What if your blueprint has been running on autopilot, convincing you that this is who you are, when in reality, it is just who you've been trained to be? Imagine what would happen if you stopped accepting that script and started writing a new one. Because here is the most powerful lesson from Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. Wealth begins in the mind before it ever shows up in the bank. Rich people are not rich just because of luck or talent. They are rich because they think differently. They believe differently, they act differently. And that difference is available to you too right now. The question is not, can you become wealthy? The real question is, will you allow yourself to? Will you keep telling yourself the same old story? I'm bad with money, I'll never get ahead. People like me can't be rich. Or will you finally decide to create a new chapter? Every change starts small. It might be saving that first $50 instead of spending it. It might be saying no to an expense that doesn't serve you. It might be starting a side hustle, picking up a book on investing, or simply changing the way you talk about money. These actions may look small, but every time you choose differently, you are proving to yourself that your blueprint is changing. And one day you will look back and realize that the pit in your stomach when you checked your bank account has been replaced by calm, by confidence, by freedom. Not because the world suddenly got easier, but because you finally took control of the one thing that matters most, your mindset. So let me ask you this, right here, right now. Are you willing to keep repeating the same money story you inherited, or are you ready to write your own? Are you willing to stay trapped in scarcity, or will you step into abundance? The choice will not be made tomorrow or next year or someday. It will be made today, in the thoughts you choose, in the beliefs you hold, and in the actions you take. Remember this. Your blueprint may explain your past, but it does not have to decide your future. From this moment forward, you have the power to reset the thermostat, to raise the standard, to create the wealth and freedom you deserve. The page is blank. The pen is in your hand. Now is the time to write a different ending to your money story.